This is Leonard Nimoy. Our story takes us across a dozen years and 10,000 miles to a time when America commits a generation of her youth in the malarial heat and trackless jungles of Vietnam. Only an airborne conveyor belt of helicopters stands between a giant army and slow, wasting destruction. A relentless aerial machine that feeds some men and devours others.
My name's Edwin Cave. I'm a chief warrant officer. That's kind of a happy medium between a staff sergeant, which I used to be before I started flying helicopters, and the pressure and responsibility of being a commissioned officer. I'm getting my first look at the Central Highlands of Vietnam in the back of a 3/4-ton army truck moving through the provincial capital of Pleiku. Whoever decided to call it a capital was a fast man with an exaggeration. The main part of town is a cluster of soulless cement buildings left over from the French colonial days, evenly divided now between bars and laundries and souvenir shops. Traffic is about what you'd expect at rush hour on the Los Angeles freeway, except here it's olive green trucks and Lambretta scooter buses, overloaded with harried brown peasants and straw mats and farm produce and God knows what baggage. And flashy oriental pimps on shiny new Hondas. The suburbs are down in a hollow, little hooches made of beer cans pounded flat with corrugated tin roofs, midnight requisition from Uncle Sam. Up out of the hollow, we reached the barbed wire-enclosed wooden buildings of an airfield. We pass under an arch with an aviation company designation and the unit nickname Shrimpboats. Seems right for the hulking twin-rotor Chinook helicopters that can handle a 2-ton howitzer as carelessly as a politician handles your taxes. Not the spit-polished aircraft lined up for inspection at the training base, working aircraft. Dust-caked gray freighters with dusty bronze windshields. The menacing muzzle of a .50 caliber machine gun poking out of each flank. It's almost dusk, and the flying day is over, and every ship is hunkered back in its own sandbag bunker waiting for tomorrow. In every one, there is a sense of a tough job done right, and a sense of tougher jobs to come. And a chill runs up my spine. Burned out 38-year-old hard case. Turns 20 again, with his whole life ahead of him. A life I know can end as suddenly as it began.
And that's only the beginning of our story.
Mutual Radio Theater, a new adventure in radio listening. 5 nights of exceptional entertainment every week, brought to you in Elliott Lewis's production of the Mutual Radio Theater. Our story, Shrimpboats, by Gordy Donnell. Our stars, George Kennedy and Les Tremaine.
Chief Warrant Officer Edwin Cave begins his combat tour as a pilot of the giant and vulnerable freight helicopters with an hour's routine paperwork in the Shrimpboat orderly room. He's billeted with a young lieutenant, Steve Barnes. When he is unpacked, Barnes offers to take Cave to the officers' club and introduce him to the man he'll be sharing a cockpit with.
So, you'll be flying with the Mad Major, eh, Chief?
The Mad Major?
Yeah, everyone calls Major Hunter that.
Not to his face, I hope.
No, Major Hunter has been with the Shrimpboats longer than anyone. He can do things with his ship no one else would even try. Guess they look sort of crazy to the rest of us.
He's a hot dogger?
He's pretty hot stuff. In the air and on the ground. You'll see in a minute. Major Hunter? Sir, this is Chief Cave. The Colonel has assigned him to fly with you.
Welcome aboard, Cave. Got your GI insurance paid up?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
The other crap shooter here is Lieutenant Petoskey.
Lieutenant?
Put her there, Chief.
Pete's got 100 that says I can't roll 6 or 7 in one shot out of the cut.
No way, Major. Not even with loaded dice.
How's about it, Chief? Want a piece of the action?
No, thanks, Major.
You don't take chances, Kay?
When the payoff is right.
There's something wrong with even money?
The odds of rolling a 6 or 7 on the first try are 671 to 625 in your favor, Major.
Yeah?
The odds against lasting a full tour with the Shrimpboats are a lot stiffer than that. You want out?
No, sir. I like the payoff.
Buy him a drink, Barnes.
The Major's cheating, Pete. Isn't he, Chief?
Rule number 1 in the game of warrant officer is never get mixed up in the commissioned officer's social lives. Let's just say the lieutenant's buying himself some expensive entertainment.
Yeah. You like girls, Chief?
Well, at my age, I try to stick with women.
They'll be at party in an hour or so.
Well, if there's any females within 100 miles, trust the pilots to find them.
Nurses from the 18th Surgical Hospital. The Ghost Riders are sending 2 Hueys to pick them up.
One of them your girl?
Oh, I don't know. Sometimes she acts like she is. Other times, well, I guess I just don't understand women.
You and every other man.
Marnie. Over here, Marnie. Marnie, this is Chief Warrant Officer Kay. Chief, Marnie Travers.
I'm pleased to meet you, Chief.
Likewise, Lieutenant Travers, is it?
Marnie, please.
All right. It's a pleasure, Marnie.
The Chief is my new roommate.
Oh, now I know where to go for a complete report on what he's like to live with. If he ever gets too persuasive for me.
I'll be sure to look for his good points.
Just keep it honest. Are you flying with him as well?
The Chief is flying with Major Hunter.
Oh, that should be exciting, Chief.
Well, I'll settle for rewarding.
I've heard so many things about the Major.
Did I hear my name mentioned?
Why, Major? Hello.
Major Hunter.
Sir?
Lieutenant Travers, you are even more irresistible than usual tonight. Any chance of my stealing a dance?
Thank you, Major. I'd love to.
Well, that is, if Lieutenant Barnes doesn't object.
Yes, sir. He didn't have to do that.
She'll be back, Lieutenant.
Not tonight. I mean, bird dogging is natural enough. More guys here than girls, sure, but not the Major. He's got too much going for him.
Settling down is a big step for a girl. Most of them like to look around a little bit first just to make sure they've made the right choice.
Yeah, she's looking pretty hard tonight, Chief. If it hadn't been the Major, it might have been you.
Listen, don't listen to me. I've got 2 divorce decrees to prove that I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to women.
Hey, let's hit the bar. You can tell me everything you don't know about them. Come on, Chief, I'm buying.
How about a rain check, Lieutenant? It's been a long day, and you've got plenty of friends to drink with.
Yeah, friends. Hey, Pete, who's Steve Petoskey?
Lieutenant Travers, shall we steal a breath of fresh air?
I'd love to.
There we are. Too many people. They don't allow me to concentrate on you.
Look, a gibbous moon.
I think it's your profile. You've a perfect profile.
Everyone at home says I resemble my mother.
Ah, your mother. What a beauty she must be, huh? Are you an only child, Lieutenant?
Marnie.
Marnie. Are you an only child, Marnie?
I have an older sister and 2 younger sisters and a little brother.
Of course.
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
I said of course because only a large family full of love could produce someone like you. Beauty, warmth, intelligence. Tell me, have you always wanted to be a nurse?
I don't really know. I think so. I don't remember.
It's remarkable, really. Young woman like you, it'd be simple for you to stay at home, not to be near all this horror.
All the boys went. It didn't seem right that I shouldn't try to help them. We should go back inside.
Why?
I promised Lieutenant Barnes I'd dance with him.
And so you shall. But not just yet.
All right. But only for a minute or two longer. Then I really have to go back inside.
I could speak to the lieutenant for you.
What?
If you'd like. I'd tell the lieutenant that you'd prefer to spend the evening with me. I'd tell him, if you'd like me to, that you'd rather he didn't bother you anymore.
You wouldn't.
Oh, yes, I would. If you'd like me to.
He'd be offended, hurt.
Yes? What would he do about it, do you suppose?
It's the strangest thing, Major.
What is?
I think you'd like to bait Lieutenant Barnes. He has a temper, you know.
Does he?
Excuse me, I'm going back inside.
Chief Warrant Officer Cave has settled in now and become a member of the unit flying the giant Shrimpboats. One thing he already has learned, where he fits in all of it.
Rule number 1 in the game of warrant officer is never get mixed up in the commissioned officer's social lives. Rule number 2 is never get mixed up in their lives, period. That's how it is, Cave. That's how it's always going to be. Sure, Major Hunter should be cooling it, making sure nothing happens to his chances for promotion. Commissioned officer gets passed over twice, he's out. But you've got a warrant, not a commission, Cave, so it's none of your business. You don't even have to like the man. You're here to fly. All that matters to you is what he can do in the cockpit. It's 3 weeks today since I first strapped myself into Shrimpboat 1-4. Ground action has been hotter than an overstressed turbine. 2 brigades of infantry have locked horns with a North Vietnamese regular regiment in the jungles where a branch of the Ho Chi Minh Trail meanders out of Cambodia. We're flying wall to wall, 14-hour days, trying to keep them supplied. I'm 10 pounds lighter. I feel 10 years younger. Major Hunter may not be the best chopper pilot in the Army, but he's the best I'm ever likely to fly with. He chews my tail off about once an hour. That's an average. And that's okay. This is no Sunday school. I'm learning more in a shorter time than I think possible. I've got the controls. We've just set a sling load of artillery ammunition down in the Stryker camp at Plagiaring. It's nervous business flying with a pallet of high explosives suspended under the ship. It doesn't faze the Major. But I'm glad to be climbing when the big 175-millimeter guns open fire again. But we're too high to hear them. But I can tell from the way they ride back against the stabilizers, they're shooting long range. I wonder if there's trouble somewhere. A minute later, we've got radio traffic.
Shrimpboat 1-4, this is Shrimpboat 2-9er, over.
1-4, go.
2-9er, you'll be working alone. We've been ordered out for aircraft recovery.
1-4, who's down?
2-9er, Air Force rescue chopper on a sandbar in the Sasan River.
1-4, Air Force? What are they doing this far up country?
2-9er, they were shot out of a hot landing zone north of the river. I guess they jumped on that medevac call.
1-4, what medevac call?
2-9er, rifle company got beat up pretty bad last night. 20 wounded, they said.
They just now got an LZ cut for evacuation.
1-4. Who's on the call now?
2-9er. Nobody. Dust-off ship tried it. Took fire from all sides. They said no way.
1-4. Call play crew operations. Tell them 1-4 is going up. Get the coordinates and the rifle company frequency and relay.
2-9er. Negative. The LZ is too tight even for a Huey. No way can a shrimp boat get in.
1-4. Getting in is the easy part. Getting out, that's going to be interesting. Take the call.
2-9er. Wilco. Good luck, Major. Out.
Even with the coordinates, the infantry position is impossible to find. The major gets on the rifle company frequency and tells them to pop a smoke grenade. A minute passes. Nothing. 2 minutes. Now what's that? A thin, wispy cloud of purple shows against the endless green of the jungle. I swing the ship in that direction. God, I don't believe it. The landing zone is a hole in the jungle so small you have to be directly over it to see it. Down on the bottom is a tight perimeter of hastily constructed bunkers, pockmarked by the impact of communist mortars. American artillery has mangled the thick trunks of some of the 100-foot-tall hardwood trees that hem in the tiny clearing. Major, you're never going to get this freighter into that hole.
Well, you're right there, Cave. I won't, because I'm not going to try. You are.
You're the expert, Major. I've been in the country 3 weeks.
You won't last 4 if you don't learn to take this crate where it has to be taken.
Major, that LZ is 100 feet straight down through a hole that's smaller than the sweep of our rotor blades.
You sure about that, Chief?
Well, you can see that much from here, Major.
There's 20 wounded GIs down there, Cave. You're going to write them off on an eyeball opinion, or you're going down to try that hole on for size?
We're risking a 5-man crew and a $2 million chopper, Major.
My decision. My responsibility.
How many IOUs have you taken from those dice bets of yours, Major?
What difference does that make?
I just want to know how many friends this crazy stunt is going to make me when it backfires.
This is Major Hunter. True alert. We're going into a hot LZ. I say again, this LZ is hot. Anyone saving up for an air medal? We're on combat assault time now. 50 calibers, full load.
What? That hole is too small, Major. We don't fit.
Mister! You better take this thing down before somebody shoots it down!
Chief Warrant Officer Edwin Cave, under orders from his aircraft commander, nicknamed the Mad Major, is trying to finesse the huge twin-rotor Chinook helicopter into a postage stamp landing zone to evacuate 20 wounded infantrymen.
The ship doesn't fit. The rotors are cutting brush on all sides. I can see some of it falling in front of us. Look down, Cave. Get your ground bearings. Make sure you've got the ship centered up. If the rotor blade hits anything substantial, this is a one-way trip. Steady, Cave. There are 20 wounded down there, depending on you. I see the infantry bunkers below, machine gun and automatic rifle flashes. They're spraying the trees, trying to keep the snipers off of us. Maybe it's helping a little. It's hard to tell without knowing how many there are. Keep it centered, Cave. Steady down. I look at the major and I get a jolt. He's just sitting there looking straight ahead, completely relaxed. He looks like he's in another world. Is he drugged? No, he can't be. His eyes are too alert. The Mad Major, they call him. Well, maybe they aren't kidding. Heads up, Cave. Watch your flying. Check the ground. That's... God, are we ever going to set down? 10 feet off the deck. 5, we're going to make it. I don't believe it. Touchdown. Infantrymen scramble out of the bunkers. They're no more than kids. They're kids carrying kids on poncho litters, kids supporting other kids between them, kids in scorched, blood-soaked uniforms. Major?
That was a pretty sloppy ride down, Cave. Think you can smooth it out a little going up?
You're taking us up, Major.
I don't remember saying that.
I said it, sir.
I'm still giving the orders here.
Risking an air crew's one thing, Major. We're all volunteers. We all draw flight pay, but we're going to have wounded aboard going up, and they're draftees, Major. Kids who didn't ask for any of this. They deserve the best we've got, and that is you.
That's how you got it figured?
Yes, sir.
You're wrong.
No, sir, I am right.
Tell me why you're wrong.
I'm right, Major. I think you know that.
All right, then. I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Sir?
What happens if I'm hit? What do you do then?
I take over.
Before or after this bird wraps its rotor blades around the nearest tree trunk?
Well, I'll give it my best shot.
With 3 weeks in the country, your best shot won't cut it. Mine just might. You see, Cave, either one of us could fly out of this trip if we work at it. The problem comes if the pilot catches a hot round. The backup man has to be quick and sure. You're jumpy and scared.
It sounds logical. Oh, hell, it is logical. So why don't I believe it? Maybe it's that serene voice of his, like he doesn't have the vaguest idea of the spot we're in. Or maybe it's because he hasn't looked me in the eye all the time he's spoken. Sure, Cave, and maybe it's because he called you jumpy and scared. All right, you won't take the responsibility of being an officer. That means you live or die by the decisions of men who will. Major Hunter gives me the signal that the wounded are loaded and that we're buttoned up. I get a grip on the stick, I bring up the RPM and begin to crank some pitch into the rotor blades. Now steady, Cave. There's going to be shooting, and you're here to fly, not to sweat soldier, just to fly. 20 shot-up kids are depending on... Steady, Cave. You're going to make it. You'll make it.
Shrimpboat 2-9er, this is Shrimpboat 1-4, over.
The 2-9er, go.
1-4. Relay to 18 Surgical Hospital. En route with 20 casualties, some serious. Estimate arrival 3-5 minutes.
The 2-9er, roger. Congratulations, Major.
1-4. Advise play crew operations, cosmetic damage only. We'll resume our assigned mission as soon as we've made our delivery.
2-9er, we'll go. Out.
Don't you think we ought to put down, Major, have the ship checked just to make sure our damage is cosmetic?
Why bother? Your amateur flying is going to kill us sooner or later anyway, no matter what we do.
Three months today since I signed into the Shrimpboats. I'm still flying co-pilot with Major Hunter. He's as wild and unpredictable as ever, but ground action has tapered to the lowest anyone remembers seeing. So he takes his energies out on Dice and the younger officers' girlfriends. Where are you off to, Lieutenant?
Party at the 18th Surge.
You and Lieutenant Travers still getting along?
She makes me work at it.
Maybe she makes you work so hard you missed the restriction notice on the bulletin board?
Major Hunter is going.
He's a major. You're a lieutenant.
The notice restricts all personnel to base. Doesn't say anything about rank. Anyway, I'm going over with him and Pete.
Look, if you're caught, he's still a major, and you're still a lieutenant.
Did you hear he's getting the Distinguished Flying Cross for that rescue mission?
Yes, I heard.
I overheard one of the gunners on your ship. He said you flew that mission.
I'm not here for medals.
But you've earned it.
I'm here to fly. Major Hunter gives me all the stick time I can use, and that's all I'm interested in.
But after all, Cave, the Distinguished Flying Cross.
A Distinguished Flying Cross can get an officer promoted. A Distinguished Flying Cross and a dime might get a warrant officer a 10-cent cup of coffee.
Well, it still isn't right.
Show me something that is. I'll keel over in a dead faint.
Well, anyway, you won't have to put up with it much longer. I hear the Major didn't get his tour extended.
No?
He had to see the Colonel today. Right after he left, the first sergeant started getting out processing papers ready for him. No cheers? After the shafting he's given you?
Who's to say his replacement won't be worse?
Ready, Steve?
Yeah, wait a minute, Pete. Evening, Major Hunter.
Barnes? Chief? Coming with us?
No, thanks, Major.
Why not?
Well, with the whole base restricted, I thought we ought to have at least one pilot around just for appearances.
Oh, hell, that restriction came from you, Sarv, in Saigon. You know why, don't you?
No, sir.
Lunar New Year. The Orientals celebrate New Year now. All of them do. USARV restricts the whole country so no GIs will foul up their celebrations. It doesn't really affect officers.
I always figured restriction was restriction, sir.
It's Lunar New Year, Cave. Just Lunar New Year. Tet, they call it. Even Charlie celebrates it. Nothing ever happens during Tet.
Leonard Nimoy again, and here's the fourth act of Shrimpboats.
It's Lunar New Year, Tet 1968. Every American base in Vietnam is on restriction, but nobody's paying much attention. About half the shrimpboat pilots have made it out through a couple of well-known holes in the perimeter wire. There's a big celebration, sounds like, in Pleiku. I hear some shooting in the distance. Vietnamese government troops whooping it up, I guess. A cold beer and a movie will do it for me. It's a warm night. Something called The Sand Pebbles with Steve McQueen and Candace Bergen is being shown to a fair crowd on the outdoor screen at the base. An angry crowd of Chinese were pelting a contingent of American sailors with last week's vegetables when... The compound had been hit before, but nothing like this. A dozen mortar rounds fall in as many minutes. Tracer bullets rip out across the perimeter wire. Two gunships lift off the Ghost Rider pad and streak away at rooftop level. I've got Shrimpboat 1-4 cranked up in our bunker. I scan the confusion of lights and speeding vehicles for some sign of Major Hunter. He isn't back yet. The radio makes it sound like he might not make it. Sappers have blasted their way into the big compound where the hospital is located. There's street fighting in Pleiku, and nobody seems to know who is shooting at who. Shrimpboat operations comes on. Lift assignments. 1-4, sling load of artillery ammunition. Camp Anari to a fire base south of Khantoum. Well, that's it. No waiting for the Major now. And the tower clears me. I'm ready to lift off when a jeep zips into the bunker beside the ship. I look back, and I see Barnes and Petoskey help Major Hunter into the ship between them. Chief, the Major's been hit.
He took a round in the leg coming through Pleiku.
Get him to the dispensary.
No way.
It's a court-martial for sure if they find out he was wounded breaking restriction.
I'll have to fly until we take some fire. I can blame this on.
Come on, Pete. We've got to get back to our ships.
Well, Chief, here's your chance to pay me back for the medal. All the other times I've dumped on you. Just get on the radio and call for an ambulance. You can even testify against me. Well?
Tower, this is Shrimpboat 1-4, out to Camp Anari. You're a damn fool, Major. You'll never make Light Colonel the way you're going.
I wasn't going to make it anyway.
You're a good pilot.
I'm a damn good pilot. 18 years I've been flying choppers. Hell, I flew in Korea. You know that, Chief? I flew in Korea. I flew medevac, reconnaissance, taxi Nebraska. Bribed the personnel clerk to lose my rotation record so I could stay and fly some more. Stuck it out afterward. Stayed in the Army and didn't get promoted when helicopters were a joke. I flew in Vietnam when there was nothing here but advisors. I flew with the 11th Air Assault when airmobile tactics were first being developed. When the 11th was made part of the 1st Air Cavalry, I came back to Vietnam with them. Went to school, learned to fly Chinooks. I came back here again. 18 years, Chief. And you know what happened today? Do you?
No, sir.
I've been passed over for promotion.
Were you surprised, Major?
It was my second passover. You know what that means?
Yes, sir.
Say it.
Mandatory separation.
Up or out? That's the rule. No pension, no nothing. Up or out?
That's a tough break, Major.
Judgment. That's what the colonel told me. I've got poor judgment. You know how many ships I've lost, Cave?
No, sir.
None. Not one. Not in all those years. Not to accident or enemy fire. Not one! That sound like bad judgment to you?
No, sir.
Fear. Fear. That's the real reason. All the paper pushers, all the jerks who want a nice, safe career, they're scared of me. That fool Hunter, the mad major, he's actually trying to accomplish something. They're afraid I'll upset their apple cart. Never occurs to them I can do things they can't because I've been flying longer. All they know is I give them ants in their pants. So they replace me with kid lieutenants who won't show them up.
How's the leg, Major?
You know what happened once? I read an article about some colonel they were promoting to brigadier general. He said he had more combat chopper hours than anyone else in the Army. I added my hours up. Over 800 more than that sucker. I wrote the Department of the Army and told him so. Even gave him the names of 2 warrants who might have more than me. Know what happened?
I can drop you at Camp Anari, Major, and say we took fire on the way over.
Commanding General called me in. It's just publicity, Hunter. That's what he said. Don't make waves, Hunter. Actual hours don't count. It's publicity for the good of the service. All those years. For nothing.
Not for nothing, Major. Anyway, civilian pilots make good money.
At my age, with 3 Purple Hearts, I'm flying on medical waivers now.
You'll find something.
Sure. Big war hero. Maybe they'll let me run up a flag at some courthouse somewhere. Did you ever think about killing yourself, Chief?
It isn't that bad, Major.
I did. Loaded my pistol. Sat there. Hours. Just staring at it. I couldn't do it. You know why?
It was a stupid idea.
No guts. That's why I didn't have the guts. So, I started needling people to do it for me. Crooked them out of their money at dice. Laughed in their faces. Took the girls. Laughed in their faces. Dumped on my co-pilots. All my co-pilots. No guts. None of you. Nobody had the guts to kill me.
That leg is starting to get to your mind, Major.
Last chance, Cave. If you don't kill me tonight, I'll have to go on living.
I see the sprawling 4th Infantry Division base at Camp Anari ahead. I don't see any firing below. Inari is too huge, too heavily defended to make a serious attack practical. My plan is to set down to get the Major to medical attention and have the ship looked over to make sure we didn't take any fire climbing out of Pleiku. Sorry about that, Cave. This is a big war. Plans of one little warrant officer don't count for much. The sky over Inari is full of choppers. I don't dare deviate from the vector given me by the Inari Tower. On top of that, a tank unit somewhere is spilling over onto my radio frequency, and they're in a firefight, so they've got priority. I can't get it across to anybody that I've got a wounded man aboard. All I can do is pick up my sling of ammunition and lift out for Khantoum. I'll get you to the 18th surgery, Major, as soon as we've made this drop.
Too late, Chief.
We're over the firebase now. You can see the howitzer pits and the landing lights.
Check your oil pressure, Chief.
I just checked it, Fife. Hey!
It's low. It's dropping fast.
We must have taken a round over Pleiku. The sumps must have been dripping ever since.
Turbine's heating.
She's still responding to
red-hot turbine. And we're going down on top of a swing load of high-explosive artillery ammunition.
We're not high enough to make it auto-rotate full pitch, Major. You know any tricks?
Like what? Artificial respiration for helicopter engines?
This is Chief Gabe. Crew alert. Brace for impact. Brace for impact.
Sit back and enjoy the explosion, Chief. You and me. We're going out the way good men ought to go.
Hear shells going off. I can just barely hear them. I wonder if I'm in that twilight they talk about between life and death. I wonder if the guy with the pitchfork is dragging me down to hell. Wherever I'm going, I'm being dragged there. I can feel it. My eyes focus. Well, it's not old Nick dragging me. Looks like old Nick. But it's Major Hunter. He's seared black from the fire. And he's bleeding. And he's dragging me across the ground while artillery shells explode all around. And then suddenly there are hands on us, and we're dragged down into the bunker, and a man yells for the medics. Major?
Oh, you blew it, Dave. We didn't hit hard enough to cook off a whole load at once. All I had to do was sit there and wait to burn. I didn't have the guts. I just didn't have the guts.
The medics come, and they say the crew is out and safe. I'm mostly just stunned, so they do what they can for Major Hunter. And I sit there in the bunker, drinking sea ration chocolate from a tin cup, and I watched the big shrimp boat burn. Hunter had given his life to helicopters. He'd known how to use them to save lives and to destroy lives. He'd never found a way to make them take the place of living.
The Mutual Radio Theater is brought to you 5 nights a week at this time. Tonight's original radio play, Shrimpboats, was written by Gordy Donnell and produced and directed by Elliott Lewis. Your host was Leonard Nimoy. Our stars were George Kennedy and Les Tremaine. Featured in the cast were Michael Miner, Andre Stojka, and Gay Nelson. John Harlan speaking. Associate Director of Mutual Radio Theater is Ken McManus. Sound effects were created by Bud Tollefson. Mark Trella is production supervisor. Recording engineer, Hal McDonald. Music editor, Lee Ringette. The Elliott Lewis production of Mutual Radio Theater is a presentation of CVI.